You could see all this. This is a
Okay.
website with all the information about our schools are out.
Yep, okay.
And I'll write that down for you, and actually,
Yep.
Mrs. Bailey over there in the corner, I think probably has some information you could take with them tonight?
Yep.
I have one sheet with the Invest website.
Beautiful.
Right.
That would be
I can
great.
tell you, the school staff, the superintendent, and the two principals have coordinated a great deal on this project. They're actually members of the secondary school building committee, and they've gone to great lengths to make sure there's that separation. Because that is a concern of some parents.
Yeah,
So-
because particularly I was thinking more in terms of the auditorium, like a joint assembly or something like that, you know.
I don't believe there's any intention to have something like that. Actually, it wouldn't be large enough to contain both
accommodate.
the middle school and the high school
At the
jointly.
same time.
And one of
Okay.
the other things you should point out is the start of school, right
Yeah.
now, the high school starts before the middle school. That will
Right.
continue to be the same, even though they're all in one big facility. High schools will arrive earlier and then followed by the middle school.
Okay, so there are steps being taken to make sure that the two groups don't interact negatively.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Delaney talked about, I came from, same type of upbringing, and, I understand this gentleman, talking about the negative, but, it could also be used as a positive. If the school, and their leaders, choose the right, mentors, like Mr. Delaney talked about, it could be used as a positive. Too many times we look at things negatively, and, we can use this situation as a positive. Once again, talking about the, community spirit, in leaders, and I believe at the last, meeting that I went to at the high school, the young gentleman came up and very well spoken. He talked about the mentor program that they already do have there, and it's something that, could be more positive than negative if we use it the right way. And it has to start with the adults, obviously the teachers.
Mr. Yule.
Yes, correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, but I think, I believe that the Superintendent Willis comes from a dual school setup. I thought I
That's
recalled her
correct.
mentioning that. So she's very sensitive to those issues as well. She has a lot of experience in that area, so.
Any other comments before we close this budget hearing? Informational hearing. And start the budget hearing.
I just wanted to follow up on the tours. I looked up the times. The school
Thank you.
officials are gonna be on hand at the high school this Saturday, March 10th, at 11 o'clock from 11 to 12, and then again from 3:30 to 4:30. And at the middle school from 10 to 11, and then 2:30 to 3:30. So they're gonna be there giving tours to anyone in the community who's interested, wants to take a walk through.
Mrs. Ferroni, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's now 7:30. The first of first budget is the Hillview Commission. I see.
Bio break.
What?
We'll go ahead. How you doing? Good to see you.
Did I see Jack Collins here too?
He just. We have to run.
We lost our quorum.
We don't have a quorum.
It's like herding cats.
Do we have your vote?
What's that?
You guys are gonna vote?
We're all set. I'm gonna recommend everything here tonight.
No, just move to adjourn.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Mr. Toro suggests we just move to adjourn, Bob. What do you think? Is that her tape?
I think she ran out of the tape. She walked away.
It's just a ringing in my ears.
I think we took some water bottles today. Mr. Delaney.
All right.
These are the updated budgets that I emailed electronically, but
Yeah,
copy for
and
them to put in their books.
I don't want to do too many updates. I'm just going to talk about tonight.
That's fine.
Thanks.
Just because Elder Services and you are up tonight.
I know, thank you.
Well, Peter, you sure do know how to clear out a room.
It's pretty good, huh? Usually happens to me when I stand up to speak. Sorry about that.
You're on. Oh, wait a minute,
Elizabeth,
sorry.
do you
Wait,
wanna
wait.
come up here and join us, or at the end of the table or something?
Good evening, Liz. How are you?
Good, how are you, Mr. Prisco?
Survived Saturday all right?
Yes.
I know Mr. Murphy, Chief Murphy really screwed it up for everybody.
You did a good job.
Excellent job. Okay,
That just went on and on when you walked out.
Okay, good evening. My name is Peter Hemme. I'm here representing the Hillview Commission to present our 2013 budget. We submitted our budget. When I look at the budget, you know, the golf industry, as a lot of industries, is continuing to have difficult times. You know, when you look at the statistics, rounds are down, you know, across the nation. Weather obviously is a major factor in what happens on a day-to-day basis. And we've done a lot of things at the course to try to accommodate these things. We actually have put in place our first price increase in a number of years. So that is now starting this spring. So we've moved up rounds of golf by $1. So we're trying to do our part in trying to see what we can do to increase revenue. We're hoping that we're not gonna see any decrease in rounds by the golf course due to the price increase. The 2013 budget reflects a decrease of about $166,000 of revenue for the exact reasons I just mentioned. In addition, one of the things that is happening in 2013 from a budget standpoint is our facility is up for bid. So our banquet facility is coming off its 6-year lease, and we now have an RFP out there that we are looking to fill. Much like the school committee, the school buildings, we have a number of challenges in the building over at Hillview. So we're not quite sure exactly what we're gonna get, but we may have to make some investments in that facility in order to attract, you know, some buyers. We know that there have been 5 or 6 people that have taken out the RFP in the last couple of weeks, so we're cautiously optimistic that we're gonna see a number of bids, but we'll see as that goes. That lease that we currently have expires in December of 2012, so it's in the middle of the 2013 budget. From an expense standpoint, the total expenses, including our debt service, reflects a reduction of about $44,000 from year over year. We will continue to monitor our receipts and adjust our spending. In the budget, there is very little spending for any capital improvements in the facility. You know, one of the main things that we try to do every year is to make improvements in the golf course because it is our asset that brings people to the facility. I've listed out a few of the things that we did during 2012. You know, some of the things, we replaced the kitchen because it no longer met the fire code in the facility. That was a major expense that we just undertook. We also had to buy some golf course equipment. The equipment was 15 years old, kind of had run its course. Could no longer get parts for it, so we needed to replace some of that equipment to make sure we could cut the lawn. The roof on the pro shop needed to be redone, and we did some reconstruction in 15th Fairway. So we continue to make, you know, improvements to the golf course.
Which is beautiful, by the way.
Yes, the course is in great shape. You know, we're very happy with the improvements that have been made. You know, we've gotten a lot of good feedback. On a positive note, we have had a number of the functions and outings that we had last year have re-signed up again for this coming summer. So we're, you know, that was very positive so far. I would caution, you know, that we will, you know, as far as in lieu of taxes, you know, our desire is always to pay our in lieu of taxes. It will depend, obviously, on our revenue income. You know, we've been fortunate this year so far to have, you know, a pretty good season as far as the weather is concerned. And we're hoping the spring cooperates as well. We hope the snow gets out of here so we can open up the golf course. But, you know, I would caution you that, you know, those dollars, you know, we intend to pay, but depending on the weather and depending on what happens, you know, we'll see in the June timeframe.
But what's important to note is that that's the last payment the Hillview Commission makes, not the first.
That
You know, the
unfortunately
payment
is at the end of the year,
It's at
correct?
the end of the year, and you know, historically, when Bob and I first got on the commission years ago, there was an IOU from the commission to the town, but we were able, over a few years, to pay everything back and then some. And what we've been somewhat guilty of on this side of the table is budgeting and anticipating those payments in lieu, and that may be overly optimistic.
Certainly in this economy.
So, I mean, even for the current fiscal year.
In the current fiscal year, you know, we're running slightly below our revenue projections for 2012. But again, we're hoping to open up the golf course soon, and provided we have, you know, good weather throughout the spring, you know, our intention is to make that payment, you know, in full for 2012. If we get a wet spring and the course is closed and we don't have the revenues, you know, then we may unfortunately be back talking to you about that payment. But right now, you know, things are looking good. We'll see how we do.
But the commitment that you're making is $60,000.
We definitely will be paying $60,000 in June with the hopes of paying the full amount.
So for the current fiscal year, there may be something we have to plug. And then for the upcoming budget.
Upcoming budget, we have the full $115,000 in there, and we fully expect, you know, based on this budget, to pay that.
The retained earnings, I see that you're building it up, and I do, having served on the Hillview Commission for a number of years, understand that you're going through a really high-risk situation associated with the fact that there may be a change in the leasing the facility.
Yeah,
Which may require additional cost.
That's correct.
In the term of leasehold improvement.
We never want to come back to the town looking to fund our debt service, so we have made a policy to make sure we have cash on hand to fund our debt service. That's the way we've been operating, that's the way we will continue to operate. For some color, the facility generates anywhere between $100,000 and $150,000 of cash flow to us. If that goes away, you know, or needs to be adjusted based on work that needs to be done to the facility to attract a new lessee, then, you know, we may have some issues.
So what do we do with our surplus? Do we have it invested, or we have it just in a bank account?
It's just in a bank account.
Yeah, I think it's
Just a regular
it's part
bank
of the
account.
collected funds of the town.
But
Finance
it rolls over.
It rolls over every year.
Every year.
Every year.
It's an enterprise fund.
It's an enterprise fund.
That's what they have, what they call
There is some interest that gets earned, very little bit, and
Right.
very little every
it's
year.
considered retained
It's-
earnings, Mike.
I understand, no, I understand,
Yeah.
but
We're not investing it, as,
you know, in a CD or anything, we don't have that ability to do
No.
something where you can have.
No, we're restricted in terms of,
We are.
yeah.
we always look forward to that nice big interest payment at the end of the year from the town. Exactly. It balances up budget.
Safety first.
Anybody have any questions?
Any other questions? Yep.
Yeah, just looking here, you mentioned that there's some equipment that that's 15 years old. In the golfing world, I guess 15 years is a long time. What
15
kind of-
years is a long time. Ideally, you'd like to try to do it every 7 years. You know, our partner, GFMI, who runs the